What is up, IDP Army? It's me again, Jordan Rains, and we are back for another episode of the IDP Army podcast, where we're talking mostly IDP, all fantasy football. Let's go.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
All right, guys, we're going to continue with our series we've been doing, going through all 32 NFL teams. This team's going to be kind of a wash. We're going to do it anyway. The next team, Houston's going to be a wash, but we're talking the Green Bay Packers today. Let's just get right to it. Last year, 13-3 NFL MVP, Aaron Rodgers. He wants out. Reports came out yesterday, something like that. He wants like 2 years, $90 million. He's not being projected as a starter in many places. The sports books in Las Vegas and around the country and the world are starting to move their lines as if Aaron Rodgers is not going to be the Green Bay Packers quarterback ever again. So we're going to talk about him still a little bit here, but we're going to talk about the whole team overall. There's still some very fantasy relevant pieces here. Some guys here you're going to want on defense and on offense. Notable additions this last year, they added Amari Rodgers, wide receiver. That's pretty much the only really big offensive piece they added. They got rid of Jamal Williams. He went to the Detroit Lions. Matt Fleur, still the head coach. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do with this team in such disarray suddenly. But Aaron Rodgers, right now, his ADP on Underdog is quarterback 13. People are talking like he might retire. So that I don't know what that's going to be doing right now. You know what Aaron Rodgers is, though. I won't waste your time there. When he plays, he's a top 5 quarterback for fantasy, top 10 at worst. But we could see him in an ecosystem and environment he's never been in before. I'm just curious as to what happens here. But if Jordan Love comes in and takes over as his quarterback, which seems like it's going to be, there's still chances for trades. The season has not started yet, but it's going to lower the ceiling on everybody. Across the board, touchdown equity is going to be lower. Offensive yards are going to be lower. It's just going to be not as good. But let's talk about Davante Adams. He's probably the primary person you're worried about on this offense besides Aaron Jones. Adams also not happy. Apparently, he just broke off long-term contract negotiations there too. So one of the league's best wide receivers. But right now, people are scared. The market is scared. Wide receiver 5 on ADP. For Underdog, Fantasy Pro still has him consensus wide receiver 2. So season-long guys and gals are still pretty confident. But I'm sure this has probably even shifted. Just by the time you hear this, it's probably gone down unless something crazy's happened, just because the market's going to move. I'm a big proponent of buying the blood, blood in the streets. Remember a couple of years ago, Tyreek Hill had a situation. You could get Tyreek Hill in dynasty startups in like the 7th, 8th round. I'm not even kidding. Like, it was insane because people were scared he was going to never play again. And now he's the wide receiver 1. So this is a buy opportunity if you have what it takes. Davante Adams, I think he's 28. He's going to be an elite NFL wide receiver another 2-3 seasons no matter what. And he's going to play. These guys are going to play unless they retire. Davante Adams is not going to retire. And he'll get the targets. Amari Rodgers, Martha Dallas-Scantling, Alan Lazard. The whole thing's just a mess. The NFL is going to be a kind of a place we've not seen it before, or in a way we've never seen it before but in a while, because Aaron Rodgers is not going to probably be leading this team offensively. Just Davante Adams, aside from him, Robert Tonyan, we saw him break out last year, but a lot of that was predicated on the touchdowns that he had and the efficiency. When Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, you are able to be efficient. So anything that we thought we saw maybe for Robert Tonyan, that ceiling is just not going to – he's going to be non-existent with Jordan Love as a quarterback here. I think that's just the bleak reality right now. So it's going to be a very defensive-minded team if they win, and they're probably going to run the ball a lot, which is really interesting because, I think there is a lot of fantasy value to be had here in certain spots on this team, primarily being the running backs and the defense. So we're going to skew this episode, the show, a little bit more heavy towards defense and running backs, because this offense is just in disarray, and I don't want to waste your time speculating because we don't know what's going to happen. But before we get to that, check this out. We're going to do a little break, and then we'll get to that, and we'll get you out of here, IDP Army. It'll probably be a quick one today. What's good, IDP Army? It's Jordan Rains, and quickly I want to tell you guys today about the big project I've been working on, the Ultimate IDP Index. The Ultimate IDP Index is the #1 resource for IDP fantasy football players, rookies or veteran, for 2021. Inside, you're going to find contract information, tiered IDP rankings, detailed player production profiles going back to 2017, suggested trade values, and a whole lot more, including unique write-ups, unique videos that will only be available within the Ultimate IDP Index. But to me, probably the most valuable thing is the fact that the trade value estimation tool is going to be updated weekly, so you'll always be aware of what a player is worth in your Dynasty League at any given moment. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for the IDP Army Patreon today. Patreon.com/the IDP Army. Join the Black Ops tier and join the IDP Army today. All right, we're back. So the players that you're really going to be interested in on offense are the running backs here. Aaron Jones, ADP currently 19, running back 13 on Underdog. Fantasy Pros rank RB1. Think that's a little low for a guy we know has top 3 upside. We've seen time and time again, even running backs in bad offenses, James Robinson, just to name one, Carlos Hyde a couple of years ago. You can still produce as a high-level RB1. David Johnson a few years back, whenever the Cardinals were not that great. You can produce as a running back 1 on a bad offense. It can happen because you're just going to get a lot of the touches. Jeremy Hill is another guy that comes to mind. And if Jordan Love is at the helm here, this is going to probably turn into a run-first defensive team. Aaron Jones, we know, is one of the most efficient runners in the NFL. He has been since coming into the league. I mean, he averages career average of 5.2 yards an attempt per carry. I know a lot of people don't like that metric, but I mean, when you've rushed the ball 650 times, I think it starts to be relevant. And we've also seen him come down with a lot of receptions the last 2 years, and he's gotten yards with those too. He's not just getting these crappy yards, 49 and 47 in the last 2 season receptions. 475 and 355 in yards. Touchdown equity will probably be down a little bit, but even this last season, when Aaron Rodgers was the NFL MVP and was taking him down the field basically at will, Aaron Jones was still able to produce like a running back 1. Sorry about that. My son came in here to get something to drink. All right, where was I with Aaron Jones? Anyway, he just got the contract. This is going to be a team that's going to use Aaron Jones. He carried the ball 200 times last year, 236 times the year before that. It would not shock me if Aaron Jones carried the ball had the most carries, rushing attempts of his career this year. And we've seen Matt LaFleur, when he did have Derrick Henry, that was kind of, right when Derrick Henry transitioned into being a better running back was, Matt LaFleur was there during that time. So we know that he knows how to use a back. And yeah, I think that we have a lot. I think running back 13 right now is just a little bit silly considering the talent and what we've seen from Jones 3 years in a row now. And that brings me to the second guy on this team. The other running back I think is going to be fantasy relevant, whether you like it or not. A.J. Dillon, running back 34 right now. Fantasy Pros rank RB40. That's right around my dude Trey Sermon. So that right there alone should tell you that Trey Sermon's a massive effing value. But AJ Dillon in that same area. Could see him being fantasy relevant. Last year when he did have 1 or 2 games where they did have to give him the ball towards the end of the season when Jones was out, he looked like a good runner. And coming in as a prospect, he looked like a good runner. So if this does turn into a heavy running team, expect him to get some carries. I believe Jamal Williams is leaving behind. I don't know if vacated carries is a thing or not, but he's leaving behind about well over 100 carries. So if those go out to AJ Dillon and maybe more, and maybe this turns into a run first, run heavy team, he could have some very, very fantasy relevant weeks. So keep an eye on AJ Dillon. I like him in Dynasty as a guy to stash. What I've seen on the field is a guy that's talented, and I think that his talent will get him touches eventually. And continue to see that happen here. So let's talk about this defense now. There's a couple of guys on this defense that are really, really, really intriguing for 2021. Obviously, Zadarius Smith. Anyone from Green Bay knows he's an excellent pass rusher for this team, outside linebacker. Last year, he was one of the few guys in the NFL to go for double-digit sacks. It made his second consecutive year that he had done that. However, if you're a pressure head and if you're a PFF person, you know that he went from, I think he led the league in pressures in 2019 with, what do you have, 105 pressures. In 2020, he only had 59, dropped by nearly half, played almost the same number of snaps, almost the same number of pass rush snaps. So, not really sure what was up with the drop in production there. The sacks, he still got home for his sacks. His only sack difference was 1 from 1 year to the next. So take that as you will. Tackles for loss were down just a touch, but his tackle floor overall, 52, 55, again, shows that he's playing the run. He is playing the quarterback. And then 4 forced fumbles this last year. Those were really nice turnover opportunities that Aaron Rodgers was able to capitalize on. And part of the reason that they won that MVP was because, they got the ball quite a few times. So, and then pass deflections, so Zadarius Smith has a pretty productive profile. To go along with the Green Bay drama, though, he actually was on Twitter just the other day asking for a realtor. So I don't know what's going on with y'all, Green Bay. You're about to lose a bunch of great pieces up there, and I'm sorry. Man, it's going to be interesting to watch Green Bay and New England kind of sputter for a year or two here, maybe. We'll have to see. I'm sure y'all are going to hate on that, but it ain't looking good. All right. It ain't looking good. So on the other side of him, on the outside, we're either going to have a rotating tandem probably of Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, both good. Rashawn Gary is going to be the guy that kind of takes over when these two guys age out. The Smith brothers did both get brought into Green Bay. Was it 2 years ago, I think, together? They drafted Rashawn Gary with a top 15 pick as well that year. So he has a pedigree. His grades and his pressures and he looks good on tape, and everything that he's doing on the field looks good. It just happened to be that he came in as a rookie right when they got some really good edge rushers. Some people are projecting him to start. I still think Preston Smith is going to edge him out here a little bit, but I do think the play time will go up. He is a guy that I'm currently sorting into the Ultimate IDP Index right now. I believe his production profile is in progress. So go check that out. Let's go ahead and move a little bit further back in this defense. So this graphic on YouTube that you're seeing has Chris Barnes and Kamal Martin as the starters. At the time that I got this graphic, and I guess I haven't found an updated one. Since then, Devondre Campbell, linebacker from the Arizona Cardinals, and then before that, Atlanta, has now found himself playing linebacker for the Packers. As a very solid veteran who shows up week in and week out. I mean, he has not missed a game since 2016, and he just consistently puts up good tackle numbers, decent quarterback hit numbers, and he can actually produce some pass deflections from time to time. He's had multiple seasons of multiple pass deflections, 3 in 2020, 5 in 2019, and even as a rookie, he had 7 pass deflections, only starting 10 games. So, we're in a league that claims to have a premium on coverage at linebacker. Even though it's not a sexy name and a name that many people will probably know, Devondre Campbell, he is going to be a linebacker. He's going to be the linebacker that I think you want to own for IDP in 2021. If he plays good, he could play himself into a better contract because they've been looking for somebody since Blake Martinez left. They tried to get Christian Kirksey in there last year. Didn't work out. They drafted Kamal Martin and then Chris Barnes. And Chris Barnes, a little bit of a sleeper, but Obviously, going out and getting Devondre Campbell and adding him to the mix, I mean, that should tell you everything you need to know about how they really feel about the quality of the linebackers that they have in house. So, if you're looking for a linebacker that's going to be cheap and probably put up some good production in IDP, saw a linebacker 2 week in, week out with some LB1 upside, Devondre Campbell is going to fit that mold for you. And then outside of those guys, we have, this defensive back grouping is interesting. There's Jair Alexander, Kevin King. A lot of people like Jair Alexander. Kevin King is kind of from what I understand and from what I've seen. Darnell Savage is kind of a little bit of an IDP sleeper darling, which is fine. 15 games started last year, 4 interceptions. That's probably why he's really getting a little bit of hype. 3 tackles for loss. 75 total tackles. 75 total tackles is not bad. That's for me, that kind of falls into that lower tier defensive back to flex defensive back area. But if he takes a step forward, and he did stack up 12 pass deflections there as well. So that is quite a few points for this guy coming outside the tackle department. But I don't know if those pass deflections will stay that high. But he looks like he could be in the mold of a player like a Harrison Smith type of guy, Tyrann Mathieu. He's a free safety / strong safety that's going to make plays in coverage and occasionally get chances to play near the line of scrimmage. Get a sack. He actually had a sack last year and some tackles for loss, and be around some of those disruptive plays. So I like Darnell Savage. I'm not exactly sure where I have him in the index. Give me half a moment, and I will tell you though. Yeah, I've got him in tier 5 right now. That's the studs tier. I've got his dynasty value at right around the third or fourth right now. I've got him as a hold, 21 impact plays last year and 10 the year before, trending up. And I got him as a ball hawk as well in under my category, so that's good. Adrian Amos, I don't really have a strong opinion on Adrian Amos. He's kind of just bounced around the league the last couple of years as a safety. Not what you want from a safety necessarily. And I don't mean like bounced around like Jamal Adams bounced around, like bounced from the Jets to the Seahawks and he's going to get paid. I mean, like started, not started, played on like 3 or 4 different teams. Sometimes he looks good. Sometimes it doesn't look good. So he's probably going to be a late round, if you're in a deep MFL league where you're starting, 4 or 5 safeties and 2 or 3 defense corners. Adrian Amos will be in play. He'll probably be on somebody's roster. But if you're playing on like a start, 7, 8 IDP players, 2 DBs and like 2 or 3 flexes, Adrian Amos is going to be a break the glass kind of guy for you probably. That's kind of my take on him for this season. So, yeah, that's the Green Bay Packers for you in a nutshell. It's going to be interesting. It's not going to be the same team that has been the last couple of seasons. The fan base is probably going to be cranky. It's probably going to be getting flexed out of Thursday night, Monday night, because nobody's going to watch, AJ Dillon tote the rock 27 times. So anyway, it'll be an interesting season. IDP Army, do me a favor, tell a friend about the IDP Army, tell somebody about the Patreon. If you are not in the Patreon, consider jumping in there, guys. We would appreciate that. If you play best ball or want to get into best ball, go down in the comments of this video, click on the link there, and you can get into the best ball draft on Underdog. They have $3 drafts, $5 drafts, $20, $25 drafts. They have tournament drafts as well. It's a great way just to practice your mock drafting skills for the redraft seasons that are coming up. I mean, I'm looking at my sleeper app. I got 3 or 4 drafts in the next week kicking off. So I know you 20 to 30 to 50, I don't know, 300 people that watch this video about the Green Bay Packers because you believe. I know you are looking to do some mock drafts. Best place to do that, get on Underdog, click the link down there. Maybe I'll be in it with you. Who knows? Win a little bit of money. Help us out. Check out Monkey Knife Fight. Go check out the website for our rankings and redraft rankings. Top 5 IDP ranker on Fantasy Pros the last 2 seasons for drafts. You already know what's up. IDP Army, we don't fuck around. All right, I'm out of here. Peace.
let the rain hit the sand. Build a house on a rock, got a plan. Gotta get stocks, keep them bands. Hear the clock tick, blades on the fan. Used to be mundane on a Monday, now you have fun day on a Sunday. Cause you switching it up and you living it up, you ain't getting enough.